The New World contains new opportunities, and it is a known thing to everyone that the best opportunities are other people's to conquer, enslave, and kill. Today's story follows a group of Spaniards who single-handedly destroyed the Inca Empire. Our story takes place on November 16, 1532, when the Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro, leading a mere 168 soldiers, managed to take a whole kingdom by himself, and a little bit of help from God. They set out to confront the mighty Inca Empire, which boasted 80,000 warriors and millions of subjects. Pizarro captured the revered Inca leader Atahualpa, whom his people worshipped as the sun god, moments after they met. I'm not kidding. Pizarro's initial instinct was to capture the king of the hostile foreign nation he lived in. That's a true alpha. But before landing on the shores of Peru, you need to understand what brought these two characters together.
Create, explore, expand, concord. I came, I saw, I came, I saw. I praise the Lord, then break the law. I take what's mine, then take some more. It rains, it pours, it rains, it pours.
On the right side of the ring, Francisco Pizarro. Pizarro was born in the 8th decade of the 15th century in the city of Trujillo in Extremadura, Spain, as the illegitimate son of Gonzalo Pizarro Sr., a colonel in the Spanish infantry. As a bastard, Pizarro had a lot to prove and a lot of feelings of inferiority that he had to compensate for when the great age of pirates, that is, the New World, was discovered. In 1502, Pizarro collected his possessions, bought a ship, and went to sea. He was a mercenary for a number of missions of exploration and conquest in the missions of the Spanish crown. As part of these expeditions, Pizarro traveled throughout South America, visiting the shores of the Pacific Ocean, feeding the natives and other innocents who just wanted to gather mangoes quietly. And on the left side of the ring, Atahualpa. Atahualpa was the son of the emperor and Inca Capac by one of his wives, a princess of the powerful kingdom of Quito. With the death of Inca Capac, his kingdom was divided between his two sons, Atahualpa himself and his brother Ascar. In 1530, Atahualpa began the conquest of his brother's kingdom, and in 1532, at the end of a bloody civil war, he defeated Vascar in a battle near Cusco, imprisoned him, and came to power. After Atahualpa rose to power and became the sun god, and this is a historical fact, he chose not to return to the capital of the kingdom, Cusco, but to stay in the town of Cajamarca in order to meet the white people who aroused his curiosity. Maybe he taught about some Spanish teachers. You can already understand that he is not endowed with good survival skills, probably because he grew up in a palace. The coordination between the two parties was done by a Spanish monk and a local translator. At the end of the day, after a 2-month journey on foot, Pizarro arrived with his soldiers in the city and began negotiations to coordinate the meeting with the Inca king. However, just before the meeting with the Spaniards, Atahualpa refused to meet with them because he claimed that he would never serve as viceroy for another king. Pizarro, being the fearless God-servant he is, did not let anyone disrespect him like that and attacked the king's forces together with his soldiers. An attack that became the battle known as the Battle of Cajamarca, which was held on November 16, 1532. Throughout the battle, the Spaniards with firearms had the upper hand. Pizarro captured and executed the 12 members of the Royal Honor Guard and captured the king himself. The Spaniards did not lose anyone in the battles compared to the natives who lost thousands of warriors. For 8 months, Pizarro held his illustrious prisoner, negotiating the largest ransom in history for his promised release. When the ransom was delivered, a room filled with gold measuring 7 meters long, 5 meters wide, and 2.5 meters high. This is a ransom of hundreds of millions of dollars for a native, and to think that a few years later they will be priced for chocolate and tomatoes, what inflation does to the economy. Anyway, Pizarro was apparently not satisfied with all the gold he received and put Atahualpa on trial. The king was found guilty of killing his legitimate king brother and conspiring against Pizarro and his forces, and was executed by the Spanish by strangulation on July 26, 1533. But that's not all. The easiest way to the hearts of the masses in Europe in those days, and maybe even today, is through stories of massacre, killing, and betrayal. The story of the events of the Battle of Cajamarca and the Atahualpa's death was published in Spain 9 months after Atahualpa's execution, translated into multiple languages, and became a bestseller, and also received an adaptation into a Netflix series where Atahualpa is described as a black and independent queen. A year after the killing of the last Inca king, Pizarro invaded the capital Cusco at the head of his forces and thus completed the Spanish conquest of Peru. The capital of the Inca kingdom made a strong impression on Pizarro, and through his soldiers, he wrote a message to the King of Spain, according to which, "This city is the largest and most impressive of the cities that have been found in this country or in all of India. I'm sure, Your Highness, that the beauty of the city and its buildings will be extraordinary even in Spain." True. Cusco was sacked by the Spanish to the core. Several years passed, and with them arrived an attempt of the Incas to restore the monarchy in their capital. It was prevented by the military intervention of a Spanish force under the authority of Diego de Almagro, a military man, lover, and warrior who worked in cooperation with Pizarro in the Spanish conquests in Latin America, is Latin today because of the Spanish conquests. After the rebellion was subdued, an argument broke out between Pizarro and Almagro regarding the division of the territory conquered by the Spaniards. The conflict turned into an armed battle in which Almagro was defeated and executed, but Almagro's killing did not put an end to the conflict, and on June 26, 1541, Almagro's son from his Indian wife avenged his father's death and murdered Pizarro. Pizarro was buried in the courtyard of the Cathedral of Lima, but was later buried under the floor of the cathedral. And that is the end of the man who alone managed to subdue an entire kingdom, but his influence on history will forever remain.